everybody, and welcome to the brand new course that we put together for you with Urban Sketch Course called Safari Sketch Course. So let me tell you what this course involves. We have done 6 big full-on workshops for you, featuring lots of wonderful exotic animals from Africa, which my dear friend Rebecca has photographed and shared with me. So we've got 6 workshops that focus on different types of animals in their setting, and that's really, really important to make sure that the context of these animals is actually shown. So we're not just sketching the animals, we're sketching their background, their foreground, their midground, giving you some kind of sense of the environment. So we have got an elephant, we've got a vulture, we've got a zebra, we've got a lion, we've got a baboon, and we've got a giraffe. Now, each workshop is broken down into lots of steps, but the first step is done in pencil, and that's important because these animals are quite tricky to draw and they're very, very specific shapes. We don't want to dive straight in with a brush pen like we would do normally with cityscapes. What we're doing is we're using a pencil, but we're trying to use a pencil in a really positive way. So it's not just a question of drawing something and rubbing something out. It's about really trying to capture those shapes, those angles, the size of the head, the relationship between the body and the legs, the background, all of those things really, really carefully. And the way to do that is to refine those lines. So it's important that we start off with pencil. Then we have lots and lots and lots of other steps, working our way through pen work, colour work, tone work, detail. But with the colour work, we're using a very limited palette. There's always going to be just 3 colours, and there's going to be some pairs of complementaries as well. And then I'll be showing you how some of those complementaries mix together to neutralise some of those values, so how we can create things like grey and we can create brown. All of the photographs have been taken by my dear friend Rebecca, so there'll be an interview with Rebecca. I'll be asking her lots and lots of questions about the backstory behind these photographs, what her experience was like going over to Kenya. There's also lots of technical exercises as well, where we pick out some of the animals that we've done, and we look for some of the more kind of technical challenges involved in capturing the textures and maybe the grasses, maybe the perspective on the side of the zebra. So there's all sorts of like little technical things that we're doing with pens and brush pens, and they're really useful little drills that you can do beforehand, before you embark upon the full workshop, to make sure that you're not kind of spoiling things on the actual workshop itself. If you're going to make any mess, do it separately beforehand, and they're really, really useful. We've also got 5 quick little bonus sketches as well, where we're taking slightly different animals, maybe not the big ticket item animals, but kind of more of the kind of lesser known ones, the ones that kind of didn't quite make it onto the big hit parade. And we're doing some quick sketches of those, whether it's just in pencil, just quick pencil sketches, or continuous line drawings, or perhaps brush pen and fine liner. And they take about 15-20 minutes each as well. Also, you'll get to see my pre-sketches. So I do lots of pre-sketches and I make lots of notes alongside them to give me some kind of background information into what these animals involve, and some of the ideas that I got from Rebecca about her visit over there, and some of the things that she experienced and some of the knowledge that she picked up. So I am aware of that myself, and I can share it with you. Hello everybody. Is it Richard or David?
David.
It's David Attenborough here, on location in deepest Africa. Actually, no, it's not really deep Africa, is it, Kenya? It's not like the Congo, is it?
No.
Sorry, we're just talking amongst ourselves here. Just, do something. Just get a pen out while you're waiting, guys. So it's like Kenya. So we're in the Masai Mara in Kenya, taking photographs for our new course that we're putting together for you, Safari Sketch Course, coming with Urban Sketch Course. Lots and lots and lots of workshops based on all these wonderful exotic animals. So we're here now taking photographs. Actually, we're not really. We wanted to, but Neil, we spoke to Neil about it. I said, there's no way I'm paying for airfare for you lot to go out there. It's just too expensive. So instead, I'm using Rebecca's photographs, which are amazing, and I'm going to be working from them instead, which is just as good. It just means we don't get to go to Africa. But never mind. We suffer for our art. Hi everyone, so all the 6 main workshop demonstration sketches are complete now, of these 6 wonderful animals that we've been doing for you. So I'm going to spend a few minutes now just kind of reviewing the work and just talking about really what I feel I've achieved with each of these drawings, and maybe what the main kind of like teaching takeaway points are in each one. So the first one that we did is the elephant, which is kind of coming towards us. And what I really enjoyed about this was obviously capturing the shape of this wonderful animal as it kind of walks towards you, but also framing it in the background with these two trees to give a kind of like sense of symmetry. So you've got the big ears, and then beyond that you've got the trees as well. So the whole thing is balanced out with the left and the right side. And I kind of enjoyed that, and I wasn't really expecting that to happen. The main focal point, I think, within this was capturing all the different textures. So obviously we've got hatching techniques in the ears, we've got all these wonderful kind of lines that shape themselves around the trunk, and then we've got like a little bit of the suggestion of the kind of dry skin texture on the elephant's forehead. And then of course we've got all the grassy techniques down at the bottom as the legs just kind of get lost amongst all those tall grasses, which is one of the kind of overriding focal points for the whole range of these workshops, giving the animal or animals some kind of setting within their environment. So that's the first sketch. And the second one that we did was the vulture. And I really enjoyed doing this because I've obviously never drawn a vulture before. I think this one's got so much personality. You know, he's a real character. And what I enjoyed particularly, based upon the wonderful photograph that Rebecca took, is how he's sitting on this branch, and the branch and the body of the animal are all kind of getting lost amongst each other. And I think the colouring helps with that, because we use lots of complementary colours, and we were able to neutralise them to get lots of grey values and brown values as well. So the colouring, I think, works particularly well. But these strong shapes that are thrown up by the neck and by the head, and then the branches that cut across in a very kind of like almost abstract way, I kind of really enjoyed that. And then capturing lots of textures within the kind of feathering of the body, and also the contour lines that we can see on the branches and the twigs as well. So I really enjoyed this, and then the white background really helps it all kind of jump out in stark contrast. So that was number 2, the vulture. Then the next one was the zebra. Technically, out of all of them, this was probably the most challenging in a way, because there's lots going on here. Obviously, we're trying to capture the realism of the animal and the perspective, but also giving it a very strong sense of space, the space that it's in. So we got some suggestion of the mountains in the background, and then we've got the layering of the trees, and then all the grasses come further and further forward. So the foreground, the midground, and the background is an important part of this. And then we've got the perspective with the stripes as well, and how they go off in different directions, and also they've got different ranges of tone as well. So on these stripes here, we started off with black, and then as we went round, we switched from the black to the N60 to give you that kind of sense of weight and the light capturing the back. So technically this was a real challenge, and I've never done a zebra before, so for me personally it was a real thrill to do it. But I think what I enjoy the most about this one is the setting, because there's a little bit more background in this one perhaps than there is in some of the others, and I think it works really well. So the next one, thank you, is the giraffe, which is so cute. Again, with this one, they don't seem that important, but the 2 bushes, a little bit like the trees in the elephant one, are really helping to frame the composition, because without those bushes, the whole thing just perhaps would have looked a bit lost. I loved really homing in on the patterning within the body here, and taking the time to notice the variety of shapes, colours, patterns, using different materials, using paints, using fine liners, using brush pens to really build up the patterning. And then as the body then merges down into the grass, using the seeds, using all the pops of seeds, getting them to kind of integrate back into the body of the animal. And that's all about flow, you know, letting the picture flow, using techniques which are applied to completely disparate parts of the picture, whether it's the body of the giraffe or the grasses in the foreground, but using those same techniques as a way of integrating the picture together. And I really enjoyed that. I felt that worked really well. And again, it's about context. It's about giving it that sense of where it actually is within Africa, within Kenya. And then obviously the little bird flying away in the distance, just breaking up all of that white space. And then we've got the lion or the lioness. This was hard. I know when I drew this one, I was very, very mindful that I wanted to get the face just right, because there's a lot of face in this one. If you think about the one we've just looked at, the giraffe, you know, it's quite small, but the face on this, the head on this is much, much bigger. And, you know, she's got a particular expression on her face. She's just eaten, she's got flies buzzing around, she's very relaxed. And I really wanted to try and capture that. So with this one, it was very much, this was challenging, but the body part was actually quite easy, because when you look at the limbs and you look at the, whatever that is, whether it's a tail or the back leg, I'm not quite sure, it's quite ambiguous, and that doesn't matter. So this is about the kind of focal point. What is the picture really about? It's very much about this, the character, the personality, and the setting, the groundwork, if you like, the body as it hits the ground can be left fairly mysterious. It's not that important. The grasses were important though, in the foreground and in the background. So she's almost sitting within this space that's being captured with the grass. And it's important for me anyway to build that up with paints, with line work, with brush pen work. So a very kind of multimedia approach to capturing the background and the foreground, and then she's kind of sitting within the midground to give it that kind of that context and that setting. But there was lots of little wonderful bits of detail that I was able to put in to this, like all the hatching techniques around the face, then the whiskers, and then the eyes, and really homing in on those eyes, trying to bring out the character and the personality. And then we've got the little flies that are all kind of buzzing around her face, which must be so frustrating. And then finally, the last one was the baboon. And this was a bit different, because obviously it's up in a tree. I mean, I know the vulture was, but it's a different kind of setting in terms of the tree, because it's almost acting as like a frame. And I tried to really bring that out in terms of the context. So the setting for this one is perhaps a bit more dramatic than some of the others, because it's almost acting as like an artificial framing device, and it's linking the two together. This again was interesting in terms of the hatching techniques, because the fur is such a big prominent part of the subject, and then using the line work and going off in different directions to kind of work your way around the body to really bring out that texture, but not overdoing it. And because the body's quite dark, it's challenging in a way to make sure you don't make it too black, because then the line work's not going to show up. So trying to get it tonally just right was something that was kind of important. And then linking that same tone to the trunk of the tree and the little pops of black in between the leaves as well. So it's been great fun doing all of these. So I hope you enjoyed my little review, just kind of going through them and what I got out of them, you know, what my intentions were in terms of, you know, developing them as workshop demonstrations for you. Because I think sometimes it's good just to get an insight into kind of my way of working and the things that I'm trying to produce for you. So hopefully you have a really enjoyable learning experience by doing them.